The rain was coming down in sheets the night Jack, Riley shuffled into that luxury car showroom. His coat little more than a memory. Shoes squishing with every step. Most folks would have walked right by him, a drifter. A shadow with old military patches still clinging to his sleeves. But Jack had his eyes locked on the silver Aston Martin in the service bay. A car that had stumped every mechanic in town. He wasn't there for handouts. And certainly not for sympathy. "Can I fix it for a meal?" he croaked, voice gravelly from years of silence. The young salesman, Kyle, nearly choked on his own laughter, barely glancing up from his phone. "A sandwich for the Aston Martin? Buddy, our techs are the best. No offense." But Jack just kept looking past him, steady, patient, like he was listening for something only he could hear. The manager, Abernathy, finally came out, a big man. Expensive suit. That air of someone who'd never gotten his hands dirty. He was annoyed at the commotion. But when Jack mentioned Mrs. Davenport's car, Abernathy hesitated. That car had been eating up labor for weeks. And Mrs. Davenport was his biggest client. The pressure was on. Abernathy studied Jack's face. Then his hands scarred. Steady despite the tremor, and something in the old man's eyes made him pause. "All right. Fix it. You get meal. Fail. You clean my floors with a toothbrush." Jack nodded. No flinch. No pride left a bruise. The other salesmen and techs watched, openly mocking at first, until Jack laid his palm on the car's hood. Almost reverently, he listened not to diagnostics, but to the faint cough, the offbeat rattle, the soul of the machine. "It's your fuel pump," Jack told them. "Not the original. Too much pressure for this engine. She's choking." Goose, the lead mechanic, bristled. But as Jack gently showed him the overlooked regulator valve, the shop grew silent. Jack worked with a kind of grace. Not hurried, not showy, just sure. When it was time, Gus turned the key. The Aston Martin roared to life, smooth, deep, perfect. Abernathy stared, then grinned wider than Jack's seen. "Ow," he whispered. Jack just shrugged, almost sad. "I listened. That's all." Abernathy, ever the businessman, saw a gold mine. He offered Jack a room, hot meals, a little pay, if he'd stay and fix the cars no one else could. Jack hesitated, remembering muddy nights long ago, an engine holding a platoon's lives in its ticking heart. Hope found in busted metal and faith. But now, he was tired, hungry, out of places to run. Just a room, the meals in a car, not a new one. Something old, something everyone's given up on. Abernathy agreed, already picturing billboards. Word spread, quick Prestige Motors had the auto whisper, and even the hopeless cases limped in from every corner. Jack didn't use fancy tools, just listened, patched up what others missed, and gave the cars in their own nurse a bit of dignity back. But it wasn't all headlines and happy endings. His past still haunted him, especially when a young woman with flaming red hair showed up in a battered truck, asking, "Can you fix a broken heart?" She was a journalist, Sarah, chasing stories about forgotten vets. Jack worked on her truck, listened to her, and in the engine's low hum, began to find a piece of himself again. Then came a twist. Mrs. Davenport's husband, General Davenport, saw the paper's story, recognized the tattoo in the grainy photo. He remembered Sergeant Jack Riley, the war magician, MIA for 40 years. Suddenly, reporters were everywhere. Abernathy selling Jack's legend for every dime. But Jack wanted none of it. He just kept to himself, fixing cars, until one day, a woman appeared in the doorway. She was older now, but Jack would have known his daughter's eyes anywhere. Their reunion was messy, full of pain and questions, but it cracked something open in Jack. He tried to make up for the past, especially with his grandson's teaching the curious one about leverage and balance, letting the other smear grease on his nose and heart. The Mustang he rebuilt became more than a carrot, was a penance. A gift, a way out of Abernathy's golden cage. He struck a deal, the Mustang, a masterpiece, in exchange for his freedom. An old pickup and a small, rundown garage. Jack called his shop Second Chance. He worked for anyone who needed him, sometimes paid with a meal, sometimes just a handshake. Word spread, not through ads, but through hope. He became a lifeline for the struggling, a student's junker, a widow's minivan, a carpenter's battered work truck. Payment came in pies, garden veggies, thank you cards taped to the wall. His relationship with Elizabeth, his daughter, grew. Slow and awkward at first, but mending over coffee and old parts. His grandsons visited every Saturday. Mark the thinker, Luke the natural mechanic. Jack taught them everything, from how an engine breathes to the philosophy of balance. His old pains softening into something like peace. One autumn day, a black sedan brought General Davenport's aid. The general needed Jack, not for a car, but for his grandson, David, a young vet haunted by war, endlessly taking apart an old Jeep, but never fixing it. Jack went, not as a legend, but as a fellow survivor. He worked alongside David, in silence at first, then gently sharing stories, teaching that some engines and some wounds need patience and the right touch. When David finally confessed his pain and they fixed the Jeep together, something changed in both of them. Jack refused any reward. Just listen to him. He told the general. That's what he needs. David came back weeks later, brighter, bringing Jack a box of Clockmaker's Tulsa gift. A symbol, the rhythm restored. As the sun set one evening, a boy hungry, scared, desperate stood at the garage door, asking, "Can I fix it for a meal?" Jack tossed him a rag, smiled, and said, "You don't have to fix it for a meal, but you can help me, and then we'll eat together." And that's the story. If it touched you, let us know where you're watching from. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this one.